Welcome to Life Plus Plus, where we aim to add more value to life by sharing knowledge, life lessons, and combined experiences from our friends, colleagues, and associates. In each episode, we'll be talking about real life issues and things that are important to you. So if there's anything you want us to discuss, leave them in the comment section below or email us at lifeplusplus@thethrowdown.com. Throwdown is THATHROWDOWN. The link will be in the description. This episode is sponsored by Kososhi Clothing. Welcome to episode 6. I am Lambo the Virus. And with me today, one half of the iconic Nigerian UK rap group, Paragon. Just incredible father figure, Jiff The General.
Jiff The General.
How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Listen, Life Plus Plus.
You know.
I'm happy to be here, man.
Nice, man.
Yeah, definitely.
What's new? What's new with you, man?
What's new with me is production. I stay behind the boards all day, every day.
I can see. I've seen a lot of your videos on YouTube.
Yeah. So it's just me behind the boards, working with underground artists, upcoming artists. So So if you ever need to know what I'm doing, just Google Jiff The General or go on YouTube and just Jiff The General, all one word.
I see you're doing more of the music production now.
Yeah, because I've always wanted to do that, to be honest. Even during the days of Paragon, during the days of, when we would write songs and stuff, I always wanted to be behind the board. So I used to put all my production on the dictaphone, take it to the studio, so I learned that way. But I always knew that I wanted to end up just producing and writing songs and stuff.
Nice.
I loved the artistry of performing and all that kind of stuff. But, my thing was, let me produce, let me write. Let me create knockers.
That one did. And how is it? How is it something you find?
It's It's comfortable. It's it keeps me fine boy, no pimples.
I see now. You be like vampire. You're the Nigerian Pharrell.
Oh yeah, boom. That's it. And I'm older than Pharrell as well.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm older than Pharrell.
You're joking.
I'm being serious. I'm being serious. I'm older than Pharrell.
What do you work out? Or
I don't work out.
It's in the genes.
It's just in the genes. And just be happy, stress free. The only stress you probably get is from the kids.
I can relate. Trust me. Speaking of kids, how many have you got now?
A battalion.
How many is a battalion?
Now I got 4.
4 kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got 4 beautiful kids. They're good, man.
Nice, man.
Yeah. All girls, though.
All girls?
Yeah, man.
Have you got your shotgun ready?
I've got 1. There's 3 to go. I'm getting the second one ready, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got 4, so yeah, they're good.
Wow, congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
So how is it, as in, having girls as kids?
It's
4 of them, for that matter.
It's to be honest, it's blissful in the sense that it's, we connect. And you have to be able to connect with your children. And I connect with mine in a very strong way. The thing is, because they're girls, we have that relationship whereby we talk about everything. I'm the only male in the house. Yeah, so we talk about everything. And as being the only male, it's important for me to initiate that talk and bring that male perspective into the situation. Because obviously, as a grown-up or teenagers now, they're walking into that life where, they want to be dating, they getting that attraction. And we need to have that conversation, because if we don't, then...
How old is the oldest one?
She's 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are there any topics or issues that you find awkward when talking to them? Seriously?
Not at all. Talk about everything and anything under the sun.
Wow.
I don't hold back. I'm that kind of person. I don't hold back. There's no reason why you should. You should be able to converse with your children and say, listen, this is where we stand in the certain situation. Because if not, they will never come to you for issues. Word. They'll be in a situation where they don't know who to turn to. So what do? They turn to their so-called father figure, who's an older man, who would take advantage of their situation. And, you don't want that.
Wow, no, you don't.
Because, you remember growing up, you always knew the vulnerable girls. You always knew who was vulnerable, and you knew how to take advantage of that vulnerability. Yeah. I know that. So I teach my kids to be aware of that and how to, see it before it comes.
Wow.
It's important that girls it's a tough thing. If I had boys, I think it'd be for me. I think it'd be easier. People say, in London it's hard to raise boys, but I think it'd be easier for me to raise boys as opposed to raising girls. You know, it's you know, you there's so many things you got to look at. You know, the emotional aspect of females is different from the emotional aspect of boys. The you know, the mannerisms. You know, as being a male, I have to look at it from both points of view. I can be aggy about something and say, you know, no, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing this way. Then I've got to step back and think of it from a female's perspective and understand where they're coming from. So I've got to play both cards all the time.
So have you been fully feminized?
Listen, they call me the effeminate. Listen, to be honest, it's funny you say that. Growing up, people used to think I was effeminate. So it's not, I've always been in touch with my feminine side. And that's the reason why I probably have more female friends than male friends. Because I've always had more female friends than male friends. So I've always been able to interact with females. And that's why I feel that even now that I've got girls, you know, the saying, when you have, the more girls you have, it means that you've been you've been playing.
Yes, you have been.
So, but I am glad that I played because I have the.
Wow.
You know, but yeah, it's you know, it's like I said, it's nice. You just need to be able to just have that conversation.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about dating.
Yeah, dating is a big aspect of that conversation, because as a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old in today's society, it's different from when we were young. When we were young, we can walk up to a girl and you want to have a conversation with her. You want to get to know her. Hey, how you doing? What's up? You want to understand her. Yes, you may have it in mind as a male, like, you know, you just want to bang.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're still getting to know the girl before you bang.
Yeah, true.
Today, it's DMing. I'm going to DM you and say, bruh, you got big tits. I like it. Can I say that?
Go ahead, man.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that's it. Because my girls show me the DMs that they get.
Wow.
You know, so it's direct. Boys don't play about today. They just go for it. The reason why they do that, because times are different and choices. It's just they have choices galore.
Yeah.
But the advantage is on the females, though. To be honest, today's society.
Yeah.
The advantage is on the female because they just sit there on their Tinder, or on their Twitter, and they scan through guys, and they know they can pick this one, and because they're females and they have that power, how many guys will reject a girl? Not many. If a girl approached you, 9 out of 10 times you're going to say yes. So that's why females have more of the choices. Even though they have more of the choices, I still feel that they're at a disadvantage because guys can play you even more so than when we were younger. I believe in that. That playing is just, you know, I'll DM you, say what's up, the same time I'm DMing you, I'm DMing the next girl. That's why Instagram and Facebook, when all that came into the scene, it just threw the whole dating to the next level.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, we'll come back to dating, but it did affect everything.
Everything.
It's that microwave mentality.
Boom.
Where everything that was iterative before, where it was step by step, you have to date the girl, you have to say hi first, you have to introduce it. All that, you skipped it.
Yeah.
You just go straight to it.
You go straight in it. And the thing is that that's why sex now in amongst the youth is desensitized. They don't know what it takes to, you know, embrace the guy, have emotional interaction, and then have sex. No, it's like boom. And I can say music plays a part in that. People will say, oh no, music was the same back in the day. It was the same. You know, when we were young, we listened to music with profanity in it. But today, you can't press play on the radio. Every song you hear that has a lot of profanity, you will hear, and lick it, because it's muted. The whole thing is muted. Why is it muted? Because everything is raw. And 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13, 14, they're listening to that. Those are your fans. Now, if, let's say we had an artist who's releasing this type of music and constantly doing that, you as a young'un are attracted to that. But you also want to learn what that's about. What's she saying? So you look at the lyrics on YouTube, you realize what she's saying, and then you want to emulate that.
Wow.
Now, when you want to emulate that, boom, next ball game, because now you have a 12-year-old who's sexually active.
Yeah.
And
people, so that's a way of indoctrinating the child.
Boom. Wow. Without, it's a subtle move, and people think, oh no, it's just music. It's not just music. It's just like you picking up a book to read. When you pick up a book to read, you want to acknowledge what's been read, and then you want to absorb it. Music is the same thing. When you listen, you absorb. Everyone knows that anything. When you listen to sound transcends, and it goes into your system, and then you do nothing. For example, you play an Afrobeat track. What happens? You want to dance because of what the music is doing to you. Same thing with these songs with profanities in it. When you listen to those kind of songs, you want to act on that.
Agreed.
Someone is saying licky, licky, lickety. It's like you know, I don't want to use those words, but it's just,
I know what you mean, and it's true because there's a correlation with There was a study somewhere where there's a correlation to you swearing and you being able to withstand pain.
Oh,
So yeah, crazy. So
Really?
yeah. So it actually shows you that if profanity has that sort of impact or effect on pain,
yeah.
what does
What
it
does
have
it
when it comes
what's
to
it-
sexual stimulation?
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times when people can use profanity in terms of, let's say, you're angry,
Yeah.
and you say, "Oh, you're an idiot,"
Yeah,
and you use profanity in between those words. It's fine, but when you now you want to express yourself on what you want to do to a girl. Wow, it's the next level. And for me, I think it's too much. I mean, and I have people who have come into the studio recording those type of tracks, and I'm on the board, and they're behind me, and they're like, I mean, I had one guy who went in, and his whole verse was all about boning this girl.
Oh my God.
That was it. And for me, it's like, okay, it's a nice track, but would I press play? No, because I don't want my girls to hear that.
Yeah.
And so even though my girls are listening to that type of music now, in terms of the older ones, they're listening to that type of music because that's all there is. It's either and it's in R&B, it's in hip hop, it's in pop now. It never used to be in pop so much, but now it's in pop music. I don't know about jazz or anything else, but in those three genres of music that people constantly are adopting and listening to, it's too much.
It is too much, man.
It's too much. So I mean,
has it worked so far? Your words of wisdom, has it worked in regards to what you tell your kid?
It's worked. It has worked, because if it doesn't, I find another way to make it work. But it has to work. And for example, we talked about, and it's funny you say this. Just 2 weeks ago, we talked about wooing. Has wooing gone out of fashion? And I spoke to my girls and I said, if a man ever approaches you, he has to learn to woo you. If he doesn't woo you, exit. Because I'm teaching you that there was a difference between a guy DMing you and saying, hey, I like your blah, blah, blah. I like this. Let's hook up. As opposed to a man saying, how you doing? My name is Michael. What's your name? Because sometimes guys don't even ask your name. They go in telling you, I like that asset. I like that about you. I like that about you.
Yeah.
They're not saying, hi, my name is Michael. What's your name? Oh, my name's Teresa.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Yeah.
There is no interaction.
Get to know you a bit.
They have to woo you. And wooing isn't out of fashion. People are trying to say it is because we're in 2019. It's not. A guy can still take you out on a date. A guy can still open the door for you. Chivalry isn't dead.
No.
He would take you out on a date. He would open the door for you. People would say, oh, he shouldn't pay for you either. That's another argument. Should he pay for dinner? Should he not pay for dinner? Should we go Dutch or should we not go Dutch? All that's your business. You can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, I believe if I take a girl out on the first date, I'm paying for you. Because I've gone that extra mile to approach you in the first place, say hi, how you doing, all that, and then I thought, okay, fine, let's go out on a date on my treat.
So it's kind of you treating her.
Yeah, so I'm treating you. So I see nothing wrong with that. You don't need to now go Dutch on that.
Yeah.
Second date, she can pay if she wanted to. She can go, let me treat you.
Yeah.
Then it's tit for tat.
Yeah.
That's you getting to know an individual. Whatever happens after that, that's you. That's on you.
How about the nuances when it comes to a guy who's got good intentions, but because of the environment he's in, the words that he uses to actually express himself might be profane or unintelligible?
Yeah, but you see, when a guy does that, that's just basic. He's just not knowledgeable enough. If he had the knowledge and he was taught how to approach, this is where we're talking about going to an all-boys school and going to an all-girls school. Yeah. If the man isn't educated enough, that's either by his parents or his peers, then there's nothing wrong in him doing that because he doesn't know any better. If he knew this is how you approach a woman and this is what you should say, then he would. But he doesn't know. Yeah. So he's going to approach, maybe he will approach the individual based on how he's seen maybe his parents do it or his uncles and his brothers. That's what he's gone by. He's not going to go by what society wants. Yeah. Because no girl wants to be approached like that. You walk into a club and you see a girl you like and you grab her by the arm and you pull her towards you and say, hey, so people think that's the right way to do it. And people think, oh, girls like that. No, girls don't like that.
They don't like that.
They don't like it. Yeah. And sometimes they're afraid to tell you. I mean, you get the feisty ones who will tell you, please don't come anywhere near me. But a guy needs to learn how to approach women, period. It's important.
Who is he up to? Is it up to the father? And if it's up to the father, what happens when there's no father?
It's not up to either or. It's either or. It's not about father or mother. Yeah. He needs to be educated. And sometimes, obviously, with kids having kids, it's hard because if you're 15, 16, uneducated, and you don't know about, you haven't grown up yourself, and you're not aware of society and how it works, how are you going to teach your younger one? There's no way you can send that information to the next person, because you know no better either. So it's difficult, and that's why a lot of young children are growing up today with the mindset of, you know, the porn industry, of let me, you know, this is how David is doing it in the porn. He's bent her over and blah 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 blah. That's how I'm going to do it to my next girl. But your next girl is not going to like it. She might pretend she liked it because she likes you, but she doesn't like what you're doing. Sometimes they're afraid to tell you that, oh, please don't do that to me. Sometimes they just don't want to voice their opinion. But when we were young, to get porn was difficult. You had to find a VHS and hide. Press play. Is anybody looking? No. Press play. Oh yeah. Nowadays, you just please.
Wow.
You know, you got so
on your
many,
phone nowadays.
You got your phone. You got. I mean, people have access to. I mean, everyone knows what Pornhub is. Everyone has access to it. Just go Pornhub.com. Boom. Press play, and whatever you want into. You know, feet. Blah blah blah. Now, if all the young kids have access to that, which they do, what's the next move for them? You have access to all this, you see this, and you watch this. Now, what do you expect that gentleman or that female to do when she meets somebody? It's difficult. It's a difficult society that these young ones live in. And now, we're here talking about young ones. The older gentlemen are doing the same thing. Those who are still in the dating game, women who are still in the dating game. Some of them are still acting like they're 25, still acting like they're 20. You know, their mindset is still the same. I'm 50 years old, or I'm 55 and 60 years old. I'm in the dating game, but I still want to play the field. But, bruh, you're still playing the field at 55, 60? Really? I mean, what is it that you're looking for that you didn't find at 20, 30, 40? What is it that you're looking for? What, you know, I can be profane now and say that all pussy is the same. It isn't, but it feels the same. So what is it that you're looking for that Teresa didn't give you, Mary didn't give you, you know, Tokumbo didn't give you? What is it that you're looking for that at 55, 60, you're still running around trying to play the field? It's weird. So the dating society today in the modern age is warped.
It is warped, man.
Completely and utterly warped. And I feel sorry for the young ones growing up. You know, they don't understand the game and understand what it takes to be appreciated. You know?
And aren't these kids, aren't they being exposed to sex too early? Legally and illegally.
Of course.
Because in schools, at the age at which they're actually exposed to sex education and the gravity, the level of the material that they actually show these kids. I'll tell you a story, true story, happened when my daughter was in, I think, year four. So we had a screening, a parent screening for a sex education clip that they were supposed to show to the kids. So I was the only person in that meeting that actually said, you know what, I'd like you to exempt my daughter, and I'll tell you why.
Wow,
dude, it was porn, but it was animated.
Oh, like anime kind of.
It was porn. It was animated, and I remember this vividly, where a character in the cartoon was like, "This is your clitoris. If you rub it, it feels good."
Shut up.
Seriously, I was the only person who said, "You know what? Thanks,
Whoa,
but no, thanks,
it said
but no
if
thanks."
you rub it, it feels good.
Yes, thanks, but no thanks. Here's what really got my back up. As soon as we finished it and we came out, my wife was with me. There was a guy, an Asian guy, and he came out to me and he was like, he was one of the parents as well, and he was like, yeah, man, that it's disgusting what those people are doing. So why didn't you say anything?
You see, again, we can go and talk about schools, but just a quick one. When parents are in school, I found that when parents are in school, they're afraid to speak up because they believe that they're the powers that be. So when you step up, you're a troublesome parent. You're not a troublesome parent. You want what's best for your child.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong in you stepping up and saying, listen, I don't want my child doing that. Okay, look at the new curriculum they're trying to bring in. The whole, the new sex education and the LGBT movement and all that kind of stuff. People have their feelings about that.
Yes, they
Do I want my child to be involved in knowing that at that age?
You should have the right to choose.
You should have the right to choose.
Yeah.
It's not. You can't force it upon me that my child must learn X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
I have the right to choose, and if that makes me a troublesome parent, then hey, I'm a troublesome parent.
Yeah, especially because I went in there with an open mind to see, okay, you know what? If it's sex education, if it's education and it's age appropriate, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Only to see porn. It was literally porn.
So you watched, it was just a video. There was no one explaining anything.
There was someone explaining it, but the characters had their own voices as well.
Yeah.
So at the time when when I mentioned the whole clitoris and rubbing it, it was it wasn't it was a voiceover for that one saying this is the clitoris, and
I'm surprised that Ofsted
yeah,
passed that.
primary school, you know.
Primary.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, this was in 2000 and probably 2009.
Jeez, and even back then.
Yeah. Scary, man. Scary.
Nah, I mean it's
So
you know,
in
like,
terms of sex education, I feel it's catch-22 because you want to expose them to it.
Yeah.
At what age?
Yeah,
And
I mean,
what kind of material do you actually show them?
Yeah, I mean, with me, it wasn't, sex education wasn't really, I'm quite raw in the sense that I let it slip out. There was no sit down and talk. There was none of that in the house. It wasn't a situation where I sat down and said, this is X, Y, and Z, this is what the man does. It was something that just happened naturally. So I would just let it out, let out certain words and certain things and say certain things. I would say it in a funny way, but they know what I'm talking about. And that was me educating them. So I still do it now. You know, you say certain things just to, again, sometimes I do it on purpose to make them uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's just to make them aware that this is how guys are. This is it. You need to learn these things because if you don't learn it, who's going to teach you? Where are you going to learn it? You're going to get some old man to teach you how, by that time, he's playing you and he's taking advantage of your ass.
Wow.
And so sex education needs to be brought in at an early stage. Yes. Yeah. It's how you do it, but I think the parents should not be afraid to do it. Just be open. You have to be open. You have to be able to just say, listen, this is the situation. People go, 5-year-olds now are aware that babies don't come from the stomach. They know that it grows there. They know, come on now. So why are you trying to make them look stupid by saying, oh, mommy, where does baby comes from? Oh, babies come from the sky and they fall into mommy's belly. Really?
Yeah, but 5-year-old. You can't tell them.
No, you see, you say 5-year-old.
Yeah.
A 5-year-old will speak to you as a mature individual nowadays. I'm being serious. Come on, man.
Yeah, but not about certain functions of the
No. You don't want. You just want to keep it PC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Keep it PC. Keep it. Triple A. What's the lowest one you can get for PG? Keep it that way. Keep it simple.
PG is universal.
Universal. Keep it universal.
Yeah.
let them understand it. But I mean, you don't have to. I mean, she's 5, but I don't lie to her, because at the end of the day, if you lie to her, she's gonna think mom lies to or dad lies to me. Yeah. When she's 8, 9, 10 years old and she knows the real deal, like, oh, mom told me this. Why did mom tell me that? Some people don't understand that. So you need to I like being real. Yeah. And I've been real from day one.
But for people like us who grew up grew up back home, and the ones who didn't fully grow up back home, who spent maybe their teenage years here. Yeah. We weren't really told.
No.
We just figured it out.
No. Because
as a human being, it's just it's an innate feeling. What is supposed to happen when you're in a certain kind of situation.
True. So, but again,
why is the emphasis on, we need to tell them? And it's not working because the rates of parenthood
now
is shooting up.
It's shooting up. But the thing is, yes, I understand that we weren't told when we were younger, but school taught you. I went to an a boarding school. Yeah. So going to an all boys boarding school, it was all you do is talk about sex. All you do is talk about, what you do, how big your dick is, and all that kind of stuff. You see what I mean?
Pause.
So growing up, that's if you're growing up 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and that's all you talk about as boys, apart from playing rugby and football, then you're being educated by the elders. If you're in year 1, all the year 6 are telling you what's what. So you're learning that way. So I didn't rely on my parents to learn about that. I relied on my elders or my prefects and all that kind of stuff to learn about sex and learn about what it takes, to learn about erection, all that kind of stuff. You have to learn some way. if your parents don't teach you, then you find other ways. But my thing is today, none of that is there because why? They have access to the internet to do whatever they want, see, watch whatever they want, and that is the curse of today's dating society.
Yeah, that's
people
the
will
problem,
say, "Oh, you know, it's modern age, so let's get used to it." Yes, back in your day, you probably didn't have internet, blah blah blah, but it's worse today because if they realize how we were back then, they will realize that it was a quieter time for us. Yes, you can still be a hoe back then. Yes, you could be a man hoe, but today, everyone could be a hoe. And because why? We're spoiled for choice. It's all about the choices. It's all about the quick flick. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, you know, is in a relationship. Now, check out this relationship. She's in a relationship, having a conversation with the guy. She's not exclusive with the guy, but she's not allowed to date. Now, I'm going to put that to you. So,
wait, explain that.
You're dating an individual.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to see other people, but you're not exclusive. Where do you stand as the female? Or where do you think the man stands in the female's life? Now, tell me. I mean, I want to hear from your perspective. I want to know what you think this girl is. Now, she's not exclusive. She can't date, but she's seeing this guy. What's her position in this guy's life?
Side chick.
Thank you. And I was real with her, and I said, "You're a sighting. There's nothing more. Don't call me a sighting." I said, "But that's what you are. This man isn't committed to you. You are not priority. If you were priority, you guys will be doing more than... He will never give you an ultimatum. You can't date, exclusive." Oh, and to top it up, the worst one to the whole situation was they only conversed via WhatsApp.
Oh, my goodness.
There was never, ever a voice call. I said, "So you don't know what he sounds like when he goes to bed at night? You don't know what he sounds like when he's tired, when he wakes up in the morning? You don't know what he sounds like when he's tired from work?" No. So you just converse. So I said, "How often do you see him?" "As often as I can." "But so when you do see him, do you call each other on the phone to meet up?" "No, we just text and then we meet up."
Wow.
That is today's dating society. How can you date someone when you only converse via WhatsApp or Twitter or DMing on Instagram? It's a tragedy.
Wow.
And so when I now said, "Listen, what you're doing is wrong," she said, "No, that's how everybody does it nowadays." And I took a back seat like, "Really? You're trying to tell me?" So me having girls knowing that, listen, I know my girls don't do that. I know they have conversations with guys. My girl's always on the phone. And if it's not talking to a female, it's talking to a guy, but she's always on the phone. There is no constant DMing because I won't allow it.
Yeah.
I've educated them enough to know that this is not how men should approach you. None of that.
Yeah.
And this girl was an older girl. An older girl. You know, so
it's a tough one.
It's a tough situation we're in, you know, and this is not just for the young ones. It's the older female where they
and the older male.
Yeah. You know, and the thing is, it's not only, I feel that now you're going to have a lot more single women growing up because of today's society and the way it is and the sport for choice. You're going to have a lot of women growing up single by the time they're 30, 35 because they've been through so much in terms of, I mean, you get girls who are they just want to run through how many men they want to go through and see what's available.
Wow.
By doing that now, they lose out on the best thing. They've missed the boat. Now, when it's time to settle down, all the other guys that they thought were cool, who they thought were uncool, who are cool now, they've missed the boat.
Yeah.
They've now settled down, wife and kids, and now you're not chasing the boat.
Yeah.
Now it's gone, it's sailed.
Wow.
And you're there single, now wondering why your people and your friends have now married and moved on, and you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, I don't know what to do." It's your fault.
Yeah. So once you find the one, be you male or female, you find that person you're attracted to and you want to be with, and you start something. How do you keep that relationship?
You have to come to a common ground. You have to. You're never going to find. You may think the person is the one, but you still have to work to make that person the one. There is no such thing as, people believe in soulmates and all that kind of stuff. Yes, you find people that are compatible with you, that have like for like, but you still have to work because everyone's different. Everyone's different. You have to work with each other to make that relationship work. And what people shouldn't do is, everyone tells you like, "Oh, relationship is hard." No, it's not. relationship isn't hard at all. The way I'm conversing with you now is the way you will converse with your partner. You have to give that individual the respect, and then receive respect in the same way.
Communicate.
Communication is the key to success, and then through that, obviously, the ultimate goal is love and happiness. People shouldn't use excuses to knock, because what people do is that once they're in a relationship, they're looking for the flaws first before looking for the positive. They're thinking, what is wrong with this individual?
Wow.
Everyone does that. And it's a shame that we do that. You walk into a relationship, or you go on a date looking for the flaws, not looking for the goodness of that individual. What is it that I'm attracted to? You know, most girls will look for the social status of the individual, Instagram game, his wealth, you know, is he educated, all that kind of stuff. But once you now tick, there's other aspects of that individual you need to work with. What is that? So you got things like, he might be snoring at night and you don't like that.
And those are things that are actually in that person's DNA. So you look for the ones that change that. Oh, wow,
Boom.
That's deep.
He snores at night, or he puts his fork. After eating, he doesn't put his forks together. He puts it apart. He don't like that. He probably eats with his hands. He doesn't like using fork and knife. All these little things that are things
Like
that,
me.
See what I mean? Now your wife might not like that and think, you know, what you doing, bro? What you do? I don't like it when you do that. You have to compromise in the sense that, okay, I can do it occasionally for certain things, but this is when I like to do it. So that way, as opposed to stopping it completely, because you don't want to stop it completely, because it's something you enjoy doing. Let's come to a common ground that you are happy with what I'm doing, and I am so happy with what I'm doing. But what people do is they argue over the situation. You want your way because of your ego, male are, and then she wants her way because she wants to control her man. It doesn't work like that.
Wow.
People say that, you know, women should be subservient. Yes, they should be, to a point. There's subservience where you do what you can for your man. You support him in his needs. You support him in his career. You support him, you know, maybe financially. You support him emotionally.
Yeah, but not to the point of slavery.
But not to the point of slavery.
Yeah. Because
that's what women fall. Women fall into the trap of being slaves to their men, where they do nothing else. They do nothing but please that man. And when you do nothing but please that man, then what life do you have? Where is your position in this world? What are you doing?
That's true. And that's when later down the line, resentment sets in. Because you now look back.
Resentment sets in.
Yeah.
And God forbid that you have children before the resentment sets in. Because then you do nothing but either take it out on the kids, or you give nothing but the love and attention to that child, and you ignore the man. The man would then notice that you're ignoring him. What does he do? He would then find another woman and cheat on you. You won't know about it, but he'll be doing that. And he will now be having his cake and eat it. He will go and see his girl who will make him happy, and then he will come back to the hostile situation, but accept it because he knows that he can't go anywhere else.
Wow.
And that's it. So that's the vicious cycle. So instead of going on a date looking for the one, try something that's out of the ordinary. Don't look at a guy and go, that's my type. Because today you can drive a Mercedes-Benz, and then tomorrow you want to drive a BM. Does it mean I now like BMWs? No, I tried a BMW because I really like Mercedes-Benz, but I thought, let me try a BMW today. That's how you should approach men. Don't go with my type, because sometimes you find yourself single because you keep sticking to my type. And if you keep sticking to my type, you will never, ever find a man.
Yeah.
And if you do find a man, you are compromising to the point where you are not living your best life. That's what happens.
Wow.
You know?
So how about the men?
The men.
Yeah. Is it same advice for the men?
Same advice for the men. You see, the men, for me, the men carry the egos. They're the ones who are, you know, if people say, oh, girls are always tripping. No, guys trip. As in, guys can be bitches. Guys trip to the point where they want it their way. You're not listening to me. This is what I want to do. Blah, blah. No. The world doesn't revolve around you. You need to understand that she has feelings too. Listen to what she wants. So don't trip on the situation and thinking that everything has to be about you. No. You sit down and you compromise if you want to be in this relationship. If not, you're in a situationship. That's all you're in. You're in a situationship whereby you have problems, or you're in she's seen someone else and you're seeing someone else. That is the situation. Or there's no label to the relationship. So you're thinking, what's the point of me putting all my eggs in this basket? What's the point? There's absolutely no reason to that, because at the end of the day, I'm not giving my life to her. I'm not going to marry her. I'm not going to have kids with her. So you've put her in a situationship. Now, it's either you let her know that she's in a situationship so that she can find her feet. If not, all you're doing is stringing her along. And when you string a girl along and it gets to the point where she now starts to resent you, trust me, you know when a woman's scorned. Come on now, you know when a woman is scorned.
Yep.
And there's things that she would do that you'll be thinking, rotted, I didn't know you had it in you. And you'll be like, bitch, you made me do this.
Yeah, you created a
You
monster.
created a monster. Why? Because you didn't allow her to breathe. You want it your way. No.
Wow.
So men need to stop being bitches. And they're no, for real.
Ouch.
For real, for real. Now, I say that vehemently because a lot of men out there, they just too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that older guy that you were talking to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The older man who in a book club who decided to, I like you, but at the same time, I like you, but I'm also approaching someone else. And he's telling the God that he's approaching someone else. Really? And you're 56 years old? You're telling this come on, man. This is what I'm saying. How much of the field do you want to play that at 56 you're thinking, I'm not happy?
Yeah.
There was a conversation my daughter and I had yesterday because someone on Twitter put this on Twitter and it was a random question where people can come into a discussion. And the question was, will you be in an open relationship? Would you allow yourself to be in an open relationship if you wanted it to happen? So would you go ahead with it in an open relationship, even though whether you're married or unmarried? Would you have an open relationship? And the individual just basically put it out there. People were replying, saying all kinds of stuff. But the question was thrown to her again, saying, would you be in an open relationship? How do you feel about it? She said, lol, yes, I would be in an open relationship. And the question was, why? So I now told my daughter to ask her why. She asked why. And the girl said, because no one is 100%. So the 10% that I'm missing, I'm going to find it in that open relationship.
Wow.
So I quickly went on the DM, obviously on the Twitter, to check out, see how old, trying to figure out how old she was. 20 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Now, if she's 20 years old and she has this mentality of, I'm happy to be in an open relationship because I'm missing that 10%. You're not missing that 10%. Wow. You just haven't worked hard to get the 100% that you're with right now. You're there looking, thinking the grass is greener on this side by looking for that 10%, but you will never be fulfilled. You will never, ever be fulfilled because if you constantly keep doing that, but before you know, you're 30 and you're still single. You're 40 and you're still single.
With that mentality, yeah. Definitely.
With that mentality. And then you're wondering again, why my girlfriend's all married and my ex-boyfriends are all married with kids and you're still sitting there because why? You put a barrier. It's like, look at dating sites now where you put people don't seem to realize your barrier is already up by you approaching a dating site because your dating site says, I want a man who's white, dark-haired, blue-eyed, 6 foot tall, black. And come on,
study has it that 81% of people who actually use dating sites all lie about either their heights or.
But you have to lie. The reason why they lie because they know that in real life, in real society, they're unapproachable in their real state.
Yeah. So it's already premised on something that's false.
Exactly. So now I meet you now, and then you wonder why I didn't have a second date. I didn't have a second date because you didn't tell me the truth in the first place. You're not 5'6". You're 4 foot nothing. You see what I mean? You're not pretty. You're only pretty with your caked up makeup. You see what I mean? So it's all these things, You
use the Face app.
You use the Face app. Use the Face app. So that's why you don't get a second date. And that's why a year later you've been on 55 dates and still no man. Because you're constantly lying to yourself, which in then you're lying to other people. Yeah. Stop doing that. Yeah. Be real.
Yeah. And a lot of it also boils down to the fact that these people don't have self-respect for themselves.
Yeah, but you see, again, that's a whole different ballgame. Reason why? Because you got to wonder, why don't you have self-respect? Why do you have low self-esteem? Then you got to look at the childhood and think, okay, fine, were you molested as a child? Was your father absent? There's a lot of it that takes, but then you got girls who come from a good home, who went to school and got a good education. But so still, why are you acting this way? And some of them, the reason why they act this way is because they want to emulate other people. They're constantly chasing that, especially today's society of Instagrammers. When you have so-called, what do you call them again?
Even TV. Everything around you, even the billboards, the adverts, everything.
True, I get that. But when I look at the young ones, they're not looking at billboards. They're not looking at TV. They're scrolling.
True.
They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram. And they are scrolling. And what they look at on their screen is what they emulate. So if a YouTube influencer is wearing a certain look or have a certain type of makeup, that's what they emulate. So you got your 10-year-old thinking, I want to be like Frankie, and that's the influence they go. Now, I've met some of these so-called influencers a couple of times, as in passing, and when you see them in real life, nothing like what they are on Instagram.
True.
I've
met a few as well. Yeah, I know.
So there again, so this is all false hope for most of the guys who are chasing these so-called Instagram girls. But then you do get some smart guys who know exactly what they want. So they see these Instagram so-called girls, and they know that I'm just going to run through it. That's all I'm doing. I'm approaching you because I just want to run through. Because why? I've seen another girl that I like who's more wifey material. Yeah. You're not wifey material. Yeah. You're just a girl I just want to. You're my trophy for the moment. Yeah.
But then then the cycle goes on.
It goes on. But the cycle goes on. But that's why you need to educate the youngins. You need to educate the males, educate the females, so that they become empowered within themselves to know this is what I want, and this is, it goes back to how do you treat a man? Yeah. How do you treat a woman? Yeah. It goes back to that. And it starts from the home. It starts from the schools. All these kind of things are important. Yeah. It's not just about sex education. Let's talk about the emotional aspect of it. Does a man need to take you on a date? Yes, he does. He needs to take you out on some form of a date. It doesn't have to be dinner. I can take a walk down Love Lane. Take a walk down Embankment. That's a date. Any form of interaction where you and I are together, conversing and having fun, that is a date. It's not a dinner. People assume that you have to spend money to go on a date. You don't have to spend money to go on a date. Agreed. It's just the misconception of, I've got to look at my wallet and bring out £80. You don't need to do that. The simplest things to do in life is take a walk, blam, have a conversation, do silly things, get to know that individual, and it's the simplest and most cheapest date you'll ever have. Yeah, all this dinner stuff is just it's played out.
Well, it's the right attitude, yeah, but it's to them now it's a bit old-fashioned because what they're seeing, what they have as their perception of a date, is the candlelight. Or they're in Mayfair popping champagne.
That's right.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
That's right.
How do you make them see that one is actually equal or even more, is greater than the other in some cases?
Yeah, but the thing
where
is,
you don't have to spend money to actually take someone on a date.
The thing is, if you're a confident person, you can show that. You can show that individual that you don't need to spend money.
No, which is where I started off by saying some of them have low self-esteem.
Yeah, you have to be that confident individual. If you don't have the so-called swag and know how to converse with people, then there's no way you're going to do that. If I'm a confident individual. If I walked up to a female, I know I can take a female on a date and without spending money. Yeah. And that girl will have fun. Why? Because there's interactions that I will have with you to make you forget that we're not having dinner. I mean, we can just walk down the lane and get bloody bangers and mash or something, or chicken and chips. Not that I eat that stuff, but it's just that there's things you can do as an individual.
Isn't that because you're a Niger boy?
Yes, and I'm an Igbo man as that.
Because it's
I get it. I know.
Yeah, it's easy for Nigerians to...
Yeah. But see, now you're going to start a debate now.
People
are going to be on the comments now saying, what are you saying about you trying, what are you trying to say? That,
I can only speak for Nigerians. I can only speak for Nigerians.
No, but on the real though, I have to agree that, some of us, we just have it. It's just natural for us to just approach women and just talk to them. Yeah. But, the young ones who are here now, growing up and doing their thing, things need to change.
They rely on material things.
They rely too much. Rely on material.
They rely on text. Because when they open their mouth to talk to someone, they just curl up.
They curl up because again, self-esteem. Because the bravado is there in text, but in real life you don't have that personality. You're slightly inept in that way. And then we can go on to say, okay, fine, now you've got the girl. How do you now keep the girl? We talked about that, but then you got sex in the bedroom. Some men don't know how to perform in the bedroom. Older men and younger men. And they don't know when it's time to hit it. You need to hit it. It's not just about, hey, yes, I give it to her like this. I give it to her like that. No. People don't seem to realize you need to get into that emotional state with that individual. If you don't get into the mindset and the heart of that woman, forget that. You ain't doing shit. You're not doing jack. All you're doing is pleasing yourself. You need to please. If you need to please her, you need to get into her skin. And once you get into her skin, and that, like when you listen to R. Kelly songs now, people are going to now talk about, oh, let's not bring R. Kelly to this. But R. Kelly...
Cancel R. Kelly.
Listen, R. Kelly used to talk about when you make your toes curl and, knees tremble. That's real. That's the real. When you make a girl's toe curl, make her knees tremble, then you are in her... Bro, listen, we can go on another tangent right now. When you make a girl's toe curl, make her knees tremble, all those kind of things, you are in her skin. And you are not only in her skin, you are emotionally connected to that individual. And at that point, she will do absolutely anything for you. Because why? She is now in you and you are in her, in so to speak. And
what percentage of relationship would you say sex accounts for?
I would say at least 80%.
80%?
Yeah. I would say at least 80. Some people say, oh no, 70, but I would say it's up there. You need to have a sexual relationship with your partner. You need to have that. If you don't have that, then what happens is this, because people think that the libido of a man depreciates in time once you're in a relationship. It's not. It's the female. The female's libido starts to depreciate over time, and she starts to lose the will to have sex with you. What she then does is then she substitutes that. What does she substitute that with? Because she's married, she'll substitute that by doing it on her own, having toys that you probably don't know about. If you do know about the toys, then she'll be using the toys either without you or with you. But she substitutes you because she's not satisfied with the mundane way of doing things. You have to now find a way to make it exciting again. Because if you don't, she'll be frustrated. Because you have to remember, especially if you marry young. So let's say you marry around 25, 26, 27. 10 years into the relationship, you're still having sex with the same man 10 years later. Is it still fun? If it's still fun, that means you're doing it right. If it's not fun and it's becoming mundane, then one of the partners is doing it wrong. And so you need to figure out what can we do to ignite that sexual situation. Women are in relationships today. There are many who don't have orgasms. They don't have orgasms. Why? Because one, there's lots of things why you don't have orgasms. But if you are able to have an orgasm and you don't with your partner, because your partner is not connected to you. That's why. If you can have an orgasm by yourself, that's because you are self-fulfilled. But if your man cannot make you have an orgasm, that's because you are not emotionally connected to that person. You need to figure out why you're not emotionally connected. But the man himself needs to understand that, let me get to know my woman, not by just talking to her, by getting to know her inside out. If you can't make your girl climax at any point, whether it's with your hand, mouth, whatever you do, listen, bro, if you can't do it, any of those things, then you need to check yourself. You need to double check yourself. Because you can't be with your woman and not allow her to orgasm. You can't, because it's not a one-trick pony here. It's not a one street. It's not one way. It's a two-way street. You have to make her feel good just as much as she makes you feel good. Because what happens in turn is that, the things you used to do when you were younger, maybe you guys will foreplay and there'll be a bit of fellatio here and there once in a while. She'll stop doing that. Because she'll think, at the end of the day, if I'm doing that for you, what am I getting? Nothing. So she will stop doing that. Then you're wondering why she's not doing that. Because why? You haven't taken time to connect with her and find out why she's not doing that.
Does this apply to just married people?
No, relationship.
So relationship, yeah. Agreed.
Relationship.
At what age would you?
As in?
I don't even know what to say. That this is okay. Put it this way, yeah. What's the appropriate age for a girl to be intimate with a guy?
That's a good question. Because we can then have a conversation and say, when did you lose your virginity and when did I lose my virginity?
No, we're not talking about
I know. But at the same time, you see, like I've got girls, and if you now say, oh, so when do you think it's the right time for your girls to lose their virginity? It's debatable because she's asked me that, and I said, when you're 21. And
so you wouldn't mind if she's not married?
No, you see, that's the thing. I do mind, but I can't mind. I do mind, but I can't get involved in that. The reason why? Because you are your own self. You are your own individual. Yeah. What I say to you, all I can do is educate you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what you can do.
Yeah, of course.
I can educate
But
you.
you guide her towards that
You
path.
guide her towards that path.
Okay.
If she decides to go left when you want her to go right, you've done your best. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. So, yes, you want her to remain celibate, find the right man, have sex, and have children. But then, you know, in your mind, it's much like when people say, do men cheat? Oh, is your man going to cheat on you? You have to have
Men don't cheat.
Men, have you ever cheated? I've never cheated. Have you ever? Please, abomination. But you see what I mean? You got to look at it from that point of view. Every woman goes into a relationship knowing that my man, there's a possibility that he might cheat on me. It's the same thing. So when you approach your girls and you're telling your girls or your sons that this is what you would like them to do, you have to have it in your mind that they might break that cycle. There's nothing you can do about it. You've done your best. You know, so going back to the whole sexual relationship, you need to be able to connect with your women and your men. Yeah. Get that connection right. You know, sex is a good thing if you get it right. You know, today's society, like I said, is desensitized. People just go wham bam, wham bam, wham bam, wham bam, and there's no fun in it because you're hopping from one girl to another without that real thought. You know, and most guys will leave thinking that they've done a good job. The girl's gone and told her girlfriends that you've been absolutely terrible. Yeah, now seriously, we can spend an hour or two talking just about that, and it's a shame that not just the young men, old men. I've spoken to guys who are older than me who talk crap about what they've done, especially when they were younger, and what they do now with it. I'm like, bro, come on now, really? That's not how you do it.
Wow, that's I wasn't expecting that.
I know, but it's.
But it has to be said. It has to be said, especially because, like you mentioned, it's not just for the younger ones. There are people of our age who are sexually awkward. Yeah, they don't know how to deal with their partners in the right way, and a lot of them are selfish as well.
That's the word there. It's selfish, you know. And again, I can then talk about Nigerian men because Nigerian men are selfish. Like when it comes to this bedroom, they can be selfish, you know. And I just feel sorry for people who are in relationships and they are unfulfilled. Their sexual aspect of their relationship isn't fulfilled, and they're going through that alone. And sometimes when you don't talk to your girlfriends or the boys don't talk to their boyfriends, it's difficult because you then think, what do I do? Because you have to remember, not every man is confident. Sometimes guys are in a situation because they're in a relationship, but they don't control that relationship. The female does. So when they're not satisfied, they don't know how to communicate that dissatisfaction. They have no idea, you know. So let's not think that this is a situation for just women or just for men, or men are more superior. No, there are men in relationships who are not satisfied and don't know how to come out of that. Yeah, you know. Wow. But but sex is important in a relationship.
Yeah. Yes. We'll take your word for that. But it's insightful. It's insightful because I haven't thought about it that way. Yeah. There are certain things, obviously not saying in the hierarchy of the things you need to have a stable and successful relationship. I'm not saying sex is not there. Yeah. But, I haven't thought about it as, the way you've put it. I feel we also need to shed some light on the fact that people need to have self-respect.
True.
They need to be faithful as well.
True.
Don't go into something just because you feel, like you said, you just want to run through as many people as possible.
That's right.
All the while still having one person who's your main guy.
You have the
main guy,
the potential
or the main
one.
chick. Then you have it's terrible because not wanting to go too deep into psychology, you are, without knowing it, you're leaving a trail of disaster.
Yes.
Because along the line, at least 90% of the people you're actually having that affair with or the flings with emotionally,
troubled souls. Yeah, they are. But you're a troubled soul too.
Exactly.
That's the thing. But you don't realize it. You think you're the man of the hour and you're doing your thing. No, you're a troubled soul, and that's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And all you're doing is connecting with other troubled souls. You know, that's it.
Yeah, and you're leaving a trail.
You are. You know, that's where we touched on earlier on, that having that self-reliance and self-confidence and understanding yourself and loving yourself.
Yeah.
Self-love is the most important thing.
Most important.
You know, once you
yeah.
have self-love, then
Yeah.
you know how to deliver that. So when you walk into a room, that aura of self-love
Yeah.
is delivered.
Yeah.
You know, it's important.
Yeah.
But again, you have to being confident is not as easy as people think it is.
No, it's not.
To be
It's
honest,
something you have to practice.
you have to practice. I used to be an introvert. Back in the day, when I was younger, I would say up until I was probably 13, 14, I was an introvert. You know, I would keep to myself and do certain things. I was quiet. But I had to learn. Because, you know, like we got into the music game. There's no way you can be in a music game and be in front of the light and performing if you're not an extrovert.
Yeah.
You have to be some form, unless you have an alter ego, you know, and you're using that to perform.
Yeah.
And then when you go back into the dressing room or your own, you're back to your
you're
normal.
back to yourself. No,
But even doing that, it's still confident because you're able to switch. You know, so you know, people have to learn to be confident, and that's something that is taught through life.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's you know, we can go on and on about this, but it's you know, you know, like I said, I just feel I don't feel sorry as much for the youth. I just feel that they're in a situation now.
Things are harder now.
It's
man.
harder.
Yeah, it's harder now. The game's changed.
Yeah,
We're living in an unprecedented era.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. One thing I know works in regards to building self-confidence, I'll describe it an analogy. So imagine you've got a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
And you fill it with water.
Yeah.
And you close the bottle. And I'll give you a few scenarios that can affect this bottle after the water's in it.
Yeah.
So imagine, you know, time goes by 100 years, 1,000 years, whatever. And the bottle just remains intact where you left it.
Okay.
What's going to be in that bottle?
Water.
So imagine another scenario. The bottle just happens to go through turbulent times and it just falls off where you kept it, gets poked by a rock or something, and it starts to leak.
Yeah.
What's going to leak out of it?
Water.
Exactly. So the point is, you fill yourself.
Get you with
Exactly.
And you're constantly being battered.
Regardless of how much you go through,
That's
it's
right.
what's in you that will always come out.
That's
of you.
right.
So you have to constantly just feed yourself with positivity.
True.
Every single, just reiterate it to yourself. Keep saying it to yourself. Read. A friend of mine, Obi, he was on the show. I think two episodes ago. Yeah, 2 episodes back. He said something about reading people's success stories,
Yes.
and just constantly filling yourself with, things like that.
Yeah.
It helps
I
to
just-
actually
It
boost
does.
yourself.
I follow what's his name? Greg.
Greg.
I forgot his surname. He originates from Russia, or Czechoslovakia.
Is it Voyachek?
Wojciech.
Yeah, Voyachek.
Yeah. So like I follow him
Yeah.
and other people like him, and
Yeah.
I watch his YouTube. Again, just to constantly fill yourself with positive, with your fill your mind with positive
Yeah.
stuff. And it's needed, because if you don't have that, if you're constantly being battered, bro, it's the most painful thing, and it's
Exactly.
lonely.
Yeah, it is lonely.
It's extremely lonely, because as you know, we can go on talking about depression. As men, we don't talk about our depression.
No, we don't.
We go through it in silence.
Yeah.
And when we go through it in silence, that's why you see that the amount of people that go through it end up dying because of their depression. It's high because not just because they commit suicide. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be just stress.
Yeah.
So they have cancer.
So
they have a heart
stroke,
attack.
yeah.
They have it's deep.
Yeah, man.
It's deep.
Well, yeah, good having you, man.
Nah,
and I
man.
look forward to seeing you here again, man.
Defo.
Nice one.
Next time we'll probably come and just talk about some music.
Yeah, defo, man. Talk about Paragon,
Talk about
man.
Paragon,
The research
talk about
of Paragon.
production.
Nice one, man. Nice one. And see you guys next week.
Definitely.
Peace.